You know that moment. The one where you finally stop texting first. You stop asking what's wrong. You stop sending the long paragraph. You stop trying to pull warmth out of someone who keeps going cold. And then something weird happens. The person who could barely give you a straight answer suddenly starts watching everything. They notice your silence. They circle back. They text late. They ask questions they used to avoid. They act different. And you're sitting there thinking, wait, why now? Why do they care more when I care less? Why did they pull away when I got close, but lean in when I disappeared? Was I too much the whole time? Am I finally seeing who they really are? Or am I getting played again? Here's the truth most people never tell you. It's not that avoidant people only want you when you're gone. It's that pressure turns off what distance turns back on. You're not crazy for noticing that, and you're not failing at love. This is not proof that you were too needy, too emotional, or too hard to love. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why stepping back can suddenly activate an avoidant partner, what's happening in their nervous system beneath the surface, and how to tell the difference between real movement and temporary panic. Let's get into it. Most couples believe the person who withdraws just doesn't care. But the real truth is usually harder than that, and a lot more human. What looks like indifference is often protection. What looks like coldness is often overwhelm. What looks like they don't want me is often their nervous system does not know how to hold closeness without feeling trapped. That matters. Because if you misunderstand that, you will chase harder. You will explain more. You will push for clarity. You will try to love louder. And ironically, that usually makes an avoidant partner feel less safe, not more connected. Here's the part most people miss. An avoidant person can want connection, really want it. But when closeness starts to feel like pressure, obligation, exposure, or loss of control, their attachment system doesn't read it as love anymore. It reads it as danger. And your partner's nervous system is reading you before their mind can catch up. So when you pursue, they often deactivate. They get busy. They go numb. They minimize. They create space. Not always because they feel nothing. Sometimes because they feel too much and have no clean way to regulate it. But when you step back, the pressure drops. The chase stops. The control returns to them. And suddenly, the feelings they had buried under defense can come back online. Not because silence is magic, not because games work, not because you won, but because the anxious avoidant cycle lost one of its engines. This isn't a dating trick. This is an attachment truth. And once you see it, a lot of confusing behavior starts making painful sense. 7 reasons ignoring an avoidant can make them seem obsessed. 1. Pressure off, feelings on. Most couples think more effort creates more closeness. But with an avoidant, more effort often feels like more pressure. And pressure changes everything. Most people in relationships, when they feel distance, move closer. They ask more questions. They seek reassurance. They try to repair immediately. That makes sense if connection feels safe to you. But for an avoidant partner, too much emotional intensity can feel like being cornered. That's the deeper truth. Avoidant attachment is often built around autonomy, self-protection, and keeping emotional needs at a manageable distance. So when you're constantly reaching, even lovingly, their nervous system may register, I'm about to lose space. I'm about to lose control. I'm about to be pulled into something I can't regulate. And that's when they go withdrawn. Now look at the contrast. Disconnecting version. You say, why are you being weird? Just talk to me. I'm trying here and you're shutting me out again. Connecting version. You say nothing dramatic. You stop forcing contact. You let the moment breathe. And in that space, their brain quietly starts registering, wait, they're not pulling on me right now. I can actually feel what I feel. Not more texting, not more explaining, not one more, we need to talk. But less pressure, less pursuit, more room for truth to surface. And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. 2. Distance makes loss feel real.
Here's the part no one talks about. A lot of avoidant people don't fully feel the value of connection while they're busy defending themselves from it. They feel the threat first. They feel the loss second. Most couples assume if someone loves you, they should feel your value in the moment. But most people with avoidant patterns are not processing relationships in a clean, linear way. When closeness is active, their defenses are active too. And those defenses can numb desire, flatten longing, and make tenderness harder to access in real time. Then you step back. And now the relationship is no longer something they need to manage. It's something they might actually lose. That's when absence becomes clarifying. That's when the unspoken longing comes up. That's when what they kept pushing away starts feeling real. A good way to think about it is this. Emotional distance isn't always a wall. Sometimes it's fog. And when you stop flooding the space with effort, the fog clears just enough for them to see what's actually in front of them. Real-life contrast. Disconnecting version. You keep showing up saying, "I'm here, I'm not leaving, just tell me what you need." They nod, they deflect, they stay half present. Connecting version. You quietly pull your energy back. No punishment, no performance, just self-respect. And somewhere inside them, something starts whispering, "Oh no, this might not always be here." That's not obsession in the romantic movie sense. It's attachment activation. It's loss becoming visible. And that's the shift that turns a relationship that felt one-sided into a moment of emotional truth. 3. You stop feeding the pursue-withdraw cycle. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples think the problem is one person wants too much space and the other wants too much closeness. But the real problem is usually the cycle itself. Most people in relationships don't realize they are dancing. One person reaches, the other retreats. The reaching gets stronger, the retreat gets colder. And now both people feel misunderstood for opposite reasons. The anxious partner is thinking, "Why do I have to beg to feel chosen?" The avoidant partner is thinking, "Why does love always feel like pressure?" That's the cycle. And when you ignore an avoidant in a healthy way, what you're really doing is refusing to keep dancing the same painful choreography. You are stepping out of the pattern. You are no longer rewarding withdrawal with extra pursuit. You are no longer turning their distance into your emergency. That changes the whole emotional geometry. Disconnecting version. They go quiet, you double text. You call. You say, "Can you at least tell me where your head is?" They pull back even harder. Connecting version. They go quiet. You notice the trigger. You regulate yourself. You do not collapse into protest. You give space without abandoning yourself. And now, their nervous system doesn't have to brace against your panic. But here's what nobody explains. This isn't emotional detachment. This is emotional maturity. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what two emotionally mature people naturally do when they stop making reactivity look like love. And when you do that, your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person you can actually meet again. 4. Autonomy is their love language beneath the surface. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Most couples try to create connection by increasing access. More check-ins, more sharing, more emotional exposure. But for many avoidant people, connection becomes possible only after autonomy is respected first. That's not because they're selfish, and not because they're incapable of intimacy, and not because they secretly want toxic love. It's because their nervous system often equates closeness with engulfment. So when you stop crowding the space, they don't just feel your absence, they feel their own freedom. And freedom is often the doorway through which avoidant people can finally become emotionally available. Honestly, this is why some avoidant partners seem warmer from a distance than up close. At a distance, they can choose, they can approach, they can feel desire without feeling trapped by it. Real-life contrast. Disconnecting version. You say, "Why can't you just let me in? I'm your partner. I shouldn't have to ask for basic closeness." Connecting version. You hold your standard, but you stop forcing access. Your energy says, "I want connection, but I'm not going to climb over your walls to get it." And something inside them starts saying, "I can breathe here. I can come closer on my own." That's huge, because chosen closeness feels completely different from coerced closeness. One feels like surrender. The other feels like safety. And when you understand that, the relationship stops feeling like a hostage negotiation and starts feeling like a place where real turning toward is finally possible. 5. Your silence interrupts their story about you. Here's what most people miss. Avoidant partners often build protective stories. They're too much. They always want something.
If I get close, I'll disappear. Those stories help them justify distance. They reduce complexity. They keep vulnerability at arm's length. Most couples keep accidentally confirming those stories. The more afraid they feel, the more intensely they reach. And the avoidant partner interprets that as proof. See, this is exactly why closeness feels exhausting. Then you stop. You stop arguing with the story. You stop over-explaining your heart. You stop auditioning for basic reciprocity. And now their old narrative gets disrupted. Because if you were really too much, why does your absence feel so loud? If you were really just pressure, why does the room feel emptier when you're gone? If you were really the problem, why are they suddenly the one checking your status, replaying conversations, or wondering what changed? That inner shift matters. Their brain may quietly register, maybe they weren't smothering me. Maybe I was only seeing them through my defenses. Contrast it in real language. Disconnecting version. You say, I'm not too much, I just care. Why do you make me feel crazy for wanting closeness? Connecting version. You stop defending your needs to someone committed to misunderstanding them in that moment. You go still. You let reality speak. And your absence starts doing what your explanations never could. Not a better argument, not a longer paragraph, not one final emotional TED Talk, but a break in the pattern that lets truth get in. And when that happens, the story they were telling themselves about you starts to crack beneath the surface. 6. Scarcity creates clarity, but only if it's real. But here's what changes everything. A lot of people hear this topic and immediately think, so I should just ignore them to make them chase me. No, that's where people get hurt. And bro, that's where the whole thing gets fake fast. Most couples confuse strategic withdrawal with grounded self-respect.
They look similar from the outside, but internally, they are completely different. If you ignore someone to control them, your energy is still hooked. You're still watching, still waiting, still performing distance in the hope of getting a reaction. And avoidant people are often very sensitive to covert pressure. They may not say it, but they feel the pull. Real stepping back feels different. It says, I care about you, but I will not abandon myself to stay connected to you. That's not manipulation. That's identity. And that identity is attractive. Not because it's cold, because it's solid, because it has presence, because it has self-respect, because it tells the other person, without saying a word, you do not get unlimited access to me while giving me limited emotional reality. Real-life contrast. Disconnecting version. You post things to make them jealous. You delay replies on purpose. You act unavailable while secretly hoping they'll panic. Connecting version. You actually return to your life. You sleep. You eat. You reconnect with your people. You stop orbiting their inconsistency. And now, if they come forward, they're meeting the real you, not a strategy. This isn't a trick for creating obsession. This is what it looks like when someone has learned to love without losing themselves in the process. And that's the shift that makes your presence feel valuable because it is no longer available at the cost of your peace. 7. What looks like obsession might be panic, curiosity, or real pursuit. And this is the final piece you need to hear. Not every avoidant who comes back is ready. Not every burst of attention is love. Not every late-night text means transformation. Most couples get pulled back in too early because attention feels like change. But attention and change are not the same thing. Missing you is not the same as being able to keep you close in a healthy way. Sometimes what you're seeing is panic. Their attachment system got activated. The distance feels real. Their control feels threatened. So they reach. Sometimes it's curiosity. Why did they stop chasing? Are they really done? Do I still have access? And sometimes, yes, it's something deeper. Sometimes your stepping back creates enough safety and enough clarity that they finally start showing up differently. So how do you tell? Watch for consistency. Watch for repair.
Watch for emotional risk. Watch whether they can stay present when closeness returns.
Here's the contrast. Temporary panic sounds like, hey stranger, miss you, been thinking. Then 2 days later, they disappear again. Real movement sounds like, I can see how I shut down when things got close. I don't want to repeat that. Can we talk about this differently? One is activation, one is accountability. One is fear of losing access, one is willingness to build connection. And when you learn that difference, you stop getting hypnotized by attention and start paying attention to what's actually real. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this.
The reason ignoring an avoidant can make them seem obsessed is not because love is a game. It's because pressure and pursuit can keep an avoidant person defended, while space can bring buried feelings to the surface. But only grounded space, only real space, only the kind that comes from self-respect, not strategy. This is bigger than one relationship. Because when you internalize this, you stop making your worth dependent on someone else's availability. You stop confusing chasing with connection. You stop trying to love people by overriding your own nervous system. And you become someone who can offer presence without begging, standards without punishment, and love without self-abandonment. That changes everything. These aren't tips for getting someone back. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of partner you always wanted someone to be for you. So if this gave language to something you've been living, stay with this channel. Because we're not here to play games with love. We're here to understand the patterns beneath the surface so you can build something real. The moment you stop chasing unavailable love is often the exact moment you become impossible to ignore. Psychology grounding behind the script. This script's core ideas are grounded in attachment research showing that avoidantly attached partners often use distancing or deactivating strategies to maintain autonomy and emotional control, especially under relational stress. It also draws on research showing that avoidant attachment is strongly linked to withdrawal during conflict, and that withdrawal often intensifies a pursue-withdraw cycle that lowers satisfaction for both partners.
A practical relationship framing of this dynamic is also reflected in the Gottman Institute explanation of the pursuer-distancer pattern, where reducing pursuit can lower pressure and sometimes make a distancing partner more approachable. The why distance can increase attention idea is also loosely consistent with psychological reactance theory. When people perceive freedom or control as threatened, they may become more motivated to restore it.